Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast, your top automotive refinishing podcast with your hosts, Corey Kleinfeld
and Ryan Brewer. Enjoy the show, everyone.
Welcome back to the Masters of Recon podcast. Today on the podcast, we have a special guest, Noah Hebert, or if you're from Louisiana, it is A-Bear. I don't know. Pretty good.
Welcome. That's perfect.
If you've all heard his name, and if you don't know the connections, because he runs Dent Ops. Started about 10 years ago, running storms with his dad and his family. So been around the industry for 10 years, done all aspects of paintless dent repair, except actually paintless dent repair. And now he's the owner operator of Dent Ops. Started in January 2022. Here to talk about all things insurance and how we get paid for our stuff. Welcome to the show, Noah. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so we'll start from the beginning.
Cool.
Been around 10 years. You're all around dents, but never pushing on dents. So tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us how you kind of got the idea and started Dent Ops.
Sure. So I started working with my dad in the summer times when I was in high school. I grew up. My dad's been doing this for 27 years, something like that, 27, 28 years. So grew up traveling. My mom would load me and my siblings up in the camper, and we'd go visit dad wherever he was working. He was a hail tech. And so kind of grew up around it by osmosis, learned some stuff. In high school, started to learn R&I. And then outside of high school, started going to college, community college, learning business. And then I would travel during the hail season and do R&I, started to branch out on my own in networking after traveling with dad a lot. And we'd go work dealerships, body shops, retail PDR shops, started branching out on my own, ended up kind of overflowing into the other facets of business, whether that's working with insurance companies, insurance adjusters, customers, writing estimates, following up, locking up at night, opening up in the morning, doing just kind of everything, and got to bump shoulders with everyone from, GMs at dealerships to, the owners of body shops, and just kind of learning the ropes of everything in general. And fast forward through that whole process, just lots and lots of learning, or I guess during that process, I would build lots of systems to help us to manage workflow, keep track of financials and production and all of that. I have a little bit of a background. I've always enjoyed technology and kind of doing developer coding kind of stuff. So fast forward, learned a lot in that process. One of my big frustrations was that it felt like every single time I landed at a new hail deal, it was like we'd have to reinvent the wheel to solve problems that we just solved at the last hail deal.
And then it ended. I'm guessing, I don't run hailstorms, but it's like you solve them all and then it's like over.
It's over, and you go to the next place and they're like, man, we don't know how to do this one thing. but it's not like you say, oh yeah, we just solved that problem at the last place. It's like the mentality is like, hey, we have to figure out how to do this again. And that's frustrating to me, especially from a systems perspective and technology. I'm like, I don't want to have to do that over and over and over again. We want to take advantage of this hailstorm. So out of kind of that frustration and just the experiences on the hail trail and with some of my background, that's where Dent Ops was born. We actually started by building like admin and CRM workflow management systems. I have a good bit of experience in that area. Started with it. It's actually kind of harder to sell that than you would think. And so another big experience that I had was having to do with estimates. In particular, having to do with CCC1 estimates versus Mobile Tech RX estimates, and kind of the clicking moment, the aha moment. And I can't tell you how many people have told me, man, that's so cool. I had that idea. I'm so glad somebody finally did. So I know it's not necessarily original, but we are one of the first to actually start to implement it. But we would be working in body shops. We'd be doing the PDR in a body shop, or there'd be a body shop down the road, and we'd write like a $6,000 estimate, hail estimate or something. And then the insurance company would come back at like $3,000. And you're like,
write it with Mobile Tech RX.
Yes, and when we were writing in Mobile Tech RX, and it's like the age-old battle. It's like, it's kind of just what you expect at this point. Yeah. And then meanwhile, the shop, we could be literally working in the same body shop. They'd write like a $20,000 estimate in CCC1, hand that over to the insurance company, and it's just boom, stamp of approval. Cool. Not saying that happens every time, but it happened enough times that we're like, well, what the hell? Like our $6,000 gets cut in half, but your $20,000 just get boom, pushed through there. And so we were like, man, what's going on with that? So we started actually, writing some estimates in CCC1 and saw, honestly, just that on its own was an instant. It's not everything, but there was an instant impact to the amounts we were getting approved for and the amounts that we were, I guess, not getting rejected for. It wasn't 6,000 down to 3,000 anymore. It was more like 6,000, maybe down to 5,000. And that's a huge, no matter how you spin it. Like some operations are very much, they'll hit the supplements and they'll follow up and do everything until that thing is approved penny for penny. And some shops are just like, hey man, I really only want to submit one supplement, or not even any supplement. Whatever they give me is what they're going to give me. And we're just going to move on from there. No matter how you approach it, like that's such a huge time saver, energy saver, that it made sense to start doing that. So
so to clarify for people who don't fully understand, I think Mobile Tech RX is, I think everybody knows what Mobile Tech RX is. If you don't, you should probably be using it for your business. It helps you write estimates, etc. CCC1 is not the only way body shops, but in America, the vast majority of the way body shops. If you guys have ever been to a body shop to do a job before, and you see that 4-page breakdown of like left rear door, right front door, hood breakdown, and all the different 0.7 for this, 0.2 for that, whatever. That's a CCC1. I don't know what it stands for, even, honestly, but that's the language that they speak. What's it? You don't know either?
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. Okay, so CCC1, that's the like, just like we use Mobile Tech RX, that's what body shops are using to communicate with insurance companies.
Yeah.
So when we're saying CCC1, just a different way of writing an estimate, essentially.
Yeah.
So I think the reason it works is because now you're speaking the same language. You're not sending something in Spanish and they're like, what the hell is this? Like, I kind of get it, but not really. You're speaking their language, much easier for them to understand, interpret, change, approve, whatever. Just out of curiosity, because we're going to get on this later, but when you were writing those, were you writing them, when you started writing in CCC, were you writing conventional then? Did you switch from price or Pale Matrix to conventional writing right away?
Not totally. So I learned to write in a body shop that we were working at. I was actually, it was a job that I was working at with Paul Corden and Tim Corden and Todd Zimmerman, my dad, and a couple other people. And we were working with a body shop, and they actually brought me in. It was the first time I worked Pale where I wasn't actually doing R&I or anything. They brought me in specifically to go into the front office with them and help them to like put together systems and just streamline everything. And that's where I learned CCC1 with them, working with them for a while, where we just dug in and they kind of taught me those processes. So we have like a hybrid style of writing. It's like a hybrid of PDR and the collision body shop. Which is pretty cool. I think it's fairly unique. It's not hard to learn how to use CCC1, but it is hard to learn how to write good estimates, I should say.
Right. How to know all the proper procedures, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look for the procedures and write the procedures and price things out. And that is difficult. And we've done a lot of ongoing training with various estimating courses and classes, live classes, in person, all that since we even started to improve our stuff. But that's where I got started with it, and then ultimately built training programs and stuff for our team, and have grown our team since then to offer it as a full service. So I don't write estimates at this point. We have teams that write estimates.
Right. So. You had like 16 people or something your email said? Or?
We had 20 people on our team.
Wow.
16 them are a part of the of our estimating department. All of our team is full-time staff, and then we have a new claims department that we started we launched a month ago, something like that, 2 months ago maybe, and we have 4 people on our claim team, and as that service offering grows, we'll also expand that team as well.
That's awesome. Are they just random question, are they like work from home people, or are they all locally with you?
We're all work from home. We are a 100% virtual company.
Yeah. And that's awesome, because I feel like there's a lot. I know personally several moms, particularly, who work in body shops that would love to work from home writing because they write CCC1. They're estimators.
Yeah.
So
I've had a lot of people reach out to me. I've had a lot of people reach out to me. They're like, hey, do you have any positions? Right. Like, I'd love to, I know how to write in CCC. It's one of the most interesting things, because one of the things we found after just hiring, we've hired and had to let go of like a decent bit of people just because that's the way that it works with workforce. But one of the things that we found is like with people who are really, really experienced in like writing with body shops, if you send your car to 3 different body shops or 3 different PR companies, you will get different estimates. That's just the nature of it. So we've tried to create as uniform of a process as possible, that if you did send the car to us, say 3 times, your estimate that you're going to get back from us is going to be pretty much the same, the exact same estimate every 3 times. It's a product, right? That's really what we're trying to create, because it creates consistency for you too when you're trying to negotiate that with the insurance company. But
we even tell that to the insurance companies, like they're like, this is the price we're paying and we're too high. And I'm like, I say the same thing. You can go to 4 different body shops and everybody's going to be different. So who's high and who's low? I don't understand that.
Yeah.
So.
Who's right? It's all relative.
The insurance company's
comparison.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a comparison. It's like you can only say it's low as long as you have something else to base it against, really.
Right.
Which is the interesting thing to think about. So that's pretty cool. And it's still growing, obviously, as more people, hopefully this podcast helps, and more people will get stuff written through you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, just for everybody listening, I use this on the other side as hail as well. So I don't just use it for hail. I use it for price matching as well. Whenever we're writing big collision damage, you have to be able to justify that price. You can't just throw $6,000 on a panel and have no idea how to justify that to the insurance companies. So Dent Ops can show you what it costs exactly to either conventionally replace or repair that panel. That way, you know how to navigate with the insurance company, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's another way. It's just another way of valuing a repair, and being able to show them like this is what it could be at a body shop. And like we know, like all of us in paintless dent repair, we know all day long that our services. Corey, you mentioned this on when we chatted last week. We know all day long that our services are high and above better than traditional collision. So our prices realistically should be higher, but the industry is built around the collision body shop industry. That's what sets the standards. So at least being able to get paid the price of collision, or at least comparing yourself to what the standard repair standards are currently, is really, really important, really, really valuable.
Well, insurance companies don't care about who does the best job, to be honest, right? They're just whoever's cheap. They're looking at numbers, we're looking at value. And that's where it's always going to be a clashing thing. So
exactly, to them every repair method is the same outcome. It's just the car leaves the shop and it is quote unquote fixed.
So that's an interesting thing. So I live on this country. I live in a country you guys may have heard of. It's called California. we don't follow anything else that the rest of y'all do. We have all of our own rules out here and organizations and everything. So we have an organization in California called the BAR, BAR. It's the Bureau of Automotive Repair. From a little bit of research, I understand that other states have some version of this. But in California, it is a pretty big deal, I would say, I guess, probably more than other states. So you guys know Keith Cosentino, host of the PR College podcast, been around for a long time. He and I have been talking a little bit about this lately, trying to figure out the best way to do this. After calling the bar and other people, they're saying that writing something that is conventional, basically with CCC, we talked about this the other day, but writing something that's conventional with CCC and then repairing it as paintless dent repair is actually, I guess, illegal, fraud, whatever word you want to use. We're not supposed to do that. So I'm curious your take, since you deal with insurance companies 1,000 times more than I do, I guess, to an extent, or maybe even you, Ryan. What's your take on that? Is California special in that way, or unspecial, or what do you think?
I would say that California is definitely special always, but there are some other states that have rules like that also. Most of the states, it's like the state insurance commission is what it would be called, is probably the equivalent. And it's just kind of the governing body that's in charge of making sure that things are going according to the rules for insurance companies, repairs, so on and so forth. Usually it's like a direct to consumer type of an institution. California is unique to a lot of states, not all states, but is unique to a lot of states in that they require what we consider the repair plan to be the same as the repair estimate. Corey, you and I talked about that a little bit. Difference between it. When an insurance company, if you were to write your PDR estimate, because this is just kind of a common familiar scenario, if you were to write your PDR estimate and you say, this is exactly what we're going to do, everything that we're going to do, and you give that to the insurance company, and the insurance company decides those numbers are too high, and then they switch the things around and they change their estimate, and it comes back to you and it looks completely different than yours with a lower number, then what they just gave you is a repair estimate. It is not a repair plan, because they don't get to decide how a vehicle is going to get fixed. So that's the difference between a repair estimate and a repair plan, is that a repair estimate is coming up with a number. A repair plan is saying this is exactly what we're going to do. So insurance companies write repair estimates. They don't write repair plans. So that's just an important thing to keep in mind when you're talking about like the conversations, the communications you're having with an insurance company. So California, some other states, Montana is one of these states as well. The regulation is that your repair estimate and your repair plan must be one and the same. It means that even if that insurance company comes back and they say all these things, they change the whole thing, the insurance company is essentially saying, this is how the car should get fixed. This is how the car will get fixed. That doesn't really add up because they don't get to decide how a car is fixed. They're not repairers, right? But them's the rules for the states. And so it's like, how do you approach that sort of a situation?
Right, that's the next question. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So does that answer your question there?
It does. I believe so. And I'll dig a little deeper on that too. But the question is, how do you handle that? And I think our solution has been developed over the last several weeks, and in conversation with you and Keith and stuff. It seems like writing two different estimates, basically writing a CCC1 estimate so they can see what the number would be at a body shop, and then submitting our Mobile Tech RX price a dent estimate with R&I, because the problem with the CCC is it says repair, refinish, all this other stuff on there that we're just figuratively not doing. So all we're doing is taking stuff apart, pushing on a dent, putting stuff back together. So writing CCC1 as a benchmark, because like we said earlier, what our price doesn't mean anything unless it's compared to something. So if we can write a smash repair for $2,500 and then come in with a price a dent Mobile Tech RX estimate at $2,200, and this one is the Mobile Tech RX is our repair plan. Mm-hmm. Do you think that works?
Yeah. So yes, I do think that works, because keeping in mind that the insurance companies are writing repair estimates, their conversation that they're having doesn't have anything to do with how the vehicle is actually getting fixed, right? Just like we established before, every repair is a means to an end for them. It's the vehicle leaving the shop and it's quote unquote fixed, right? So it doesn't matter to them. It does not matter how the car actually gets fixed.
We all feel like it should. We all feel like it should matter somewhat, but they do not. It's $1. If they can spend $12 less, fine. Yeah, that's it.
As a side note, I hear so many shops and people blow up on Facebook and social media on like the different things, like insurance won't pay for this, won't pay for that, won't blah, 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 so on and so forth. This is how you're supposed to do it. The reason that they argue with it over it, because they don't care. They do not care how the vehicle is supposed to get fixed. They care about the bottom line on their estimate. So there's that disconnect anyways. So, so yes, the Mobile Tech RX estimate in your case, Corey, like you're describing,
right?
Your repair plan, your CCC estimate or whatever that is, it's breaking down the refinish times, all the conventional costs and everything. That is a tool to help the insurance company, to help the adjuster to justify paying your PDR price. It's a tool. You're not saying this is how we're fixing the car. You're saying, here, use this. I know you need to justify to your superiors. They're real people. They have their job. That's everything that they have to do. Here's your justification to give us our numbers. We already did the work. We already crunched the numbers. Our situation makes a lot more sense. The repair is going to be a lot faster. You're going to save rental coverage. You're going to get the vehicle owners going to be happier because they're going to be back in their car faster because we're fixing it via paintless dent repair. That's where you're pulling these extra benefits of PDR. They say, hey, same cost, but all these extra benefits makes it so PDR outweighs, the conventional on that route. So we do a process called conversions in Dent Ops. So we're pretty well known for like our scrubs when we're scrubbing the estimates and looking for the things that are missing that just aren't even available in Mobile Tech RX. And also finding that conventional cost. If you're familiar with Mobile Tech RX, they have the comparative pricing feature. It's basically just a number that says this is what it costs to conventional. Our scrubs are like a that on steroids, because we're actually giving an itemized list of everything that goes into that cost, which helps you to justify. It's the same thing that the insurance company's seeing on their end. So it's not like you just pull these numbers out of thin air.
And I love Mobile Tech RX. I don't have comparative pricing anymore because it just doesn't work that much. Like I love Mobile Tech RX. I use it. I think the 30th person to sign up for Mobile Tech RX in 2012 or whatever. I've used it ever since. Love them. If I call the dealership and ask for a parts price and do some math in my head, my comparative pricing is better than typically theirs. To be fair, like it is. So, but in your version, you're actually going through what an adjuster at a body shop would do. It's like all the different things. Like if you have to paint this, then you have to take apart the molding for the pillar, and you have to take apart the trim on the lower, and you like adding all that 0.3, 0.1, 0.1, point whatever until you come up with it. So,
and everything we add to our estimate, if they were to start writing the estimate on their side and just go through our line items, it's going to match up perfectly. There's no difference. We don't come up with the numbers; they're all part of the CCC database. So it's a big benefit.
And so making their job easier is ideal.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
It's making their job easier. It's like when they get a Mobile Tech RX estimate or non-CCC
or DentMate, for example. DentMate's an option too.
Yeah. DentMate is an option. Yeah, they will push that to the back of their pile because that's extra work for them. They're required. They have to put it into their estimating system. They have to. That's a part of their requirement working for the insurance company.
So if they can just check, then
then that's a huge win. But for us, what we do when we scrub something, we write something for conventional, we are able to do, we made it a free, I told Corey this because it just makes sense, right? So we can convert anything back into PDR so that the repair plan and the repair estimate match. When you in California, you're like, hey, our repair plan, we have to present our repair plan. Say, okay, fantastic. Well, you still deserve all the conventional money. Now we have an estimate that has all of those hood replacement, fender replacement, so on and so forth and whatnot. But then we have a separate estimate where we converted those operations and we say, okay, it doesn't say conventional. There's no refinish going on here. There's no replacement part. It says paintless dent repair, and you can draw a parallel to that other estimate. Dollar figure at the end of the day matches exactly. We can also apply discounts to it to make it like a very clear no-brainer to the insurance company. Hey, it's going to repair it for conventional cost, but we're going to add $100 discount to it. So it's like, hey, that's all the justification that they want and that they need.
They're like better, cheaper, check. And they
exactly.
That's
I had Noah doing that for me in Pennsylvania, where we were applying I think it was a 5% discount to each panel, and the insurance company they loved it. They couldn't get enough of it, right?
Like $15 off.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, when you're talking about a $4,800 roof,
back
adds up, right? But do you think that this has anything to do with the old matrix that obviously is still in place, that it's so easy for panels to go off matrix now because nobody's inflating the matrix to what PDR technicians can actually repair? So it's like, dude, you get 50 dents on a quarter panel of a truck and it's off matrix, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and no PDR guy knows what it actually costs to repair or replace that panel. So this is why a company like Dent Ops is so crucial to find out. How much money we were leaving on the table? It's insane.
Yeah, it makes me upset. Even though I don't do a lot of hail, but even just some smash stuff too.
So the small fee that they're charging for their services, it's like I would never think that it was too high or never worth it, because if you're not pushing metal.
Noah, is $150?
So it's $250 when we scrub the estimate, but we could also just put stuff in CC. We can just take like a Mobile Tech RX estimate or DentMate estimate or any PDR estimate and just put it in CCC1, and that's $100.
Gotcha. So, but that's not finding the extra money though.
No, it's not finding the extra money. Like if it were me personally, I would never do a translation.
That's in my head though. I'm thinking it's that's what I was thinking. It's $150 for you to find the extra money. That's where my brain
you do those whenever it's not off matrix. Like if every panel on the car is on the matrix, it's easier for an insurance company to read CCC1. So you pay the $100 and you let them convert it over.
No scrubbing.
And it's a lot easier. Yeah, no scrubbing. Yeah,
that's
pretty good.
And the scrubbing means you're finding all the procedures. and you're adding, I mean, the stuff I've sent to you, you're adding like 1,000 to 3,000, like somewhere in that zone. When I've sent you the few that I've done, like you're not finding like $50 more.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We crunch a lot of data. And so on average, actually, we track this on a monthly basis. On average, we increase estimates by 86%. Kind of across the board. That's an average of what we increase estimates by. And that's actually so like if you go to our website, we say that we help you to earn an extra 25% more than what you would have on an insurance claim.
But that's
just like know that number is like, we're not just finding 25% more on your estimate. We're finding on average 86% more on your estimate. And then you're going to, after all that stuff, partly because, the people who do want to fight, the people who don't want to fight, you're going to average about 25% net revenue more per insurance claim is right. where it falls.
Pretty solid. I'll take that. Yeah. I want to point out for all the people listening, just so they can get in my head of this discussion, because I feel like the more PDR guys that are educated, we go to Mobile Tech Expo and all that stuff, we can have this conversation. So you're telling me, and it's true that insurance companies don't tell you repair plan, except for the fact that they do, even though they don't want to tell you that they do, right? Yeah. I mean, they do. Like the biggest case, and we talked about this the other day too, the biggest case, the John Eagle case.
Yep.
The way I understand it, and I guess I could be wrong, I'm not a scholar on it, but John Eagle case, the insurance company told the body shop to bond the roof instead of weld the roof, I believe is the correct words.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they did, even though they tried to go back and get paid for welding, I believe it was, but they were like, we don't pay for welding, you have to bond it, which is glue. I think it's a nice way to say glue.
Right.
Basically, blew the roof on. That family gets in a car crash. Essentially, the roof comes off. They all died, if I remember correctly, or almost all of them.
I think one or two actually survived.
Okay, yeah. So that I don't remember reading about. Okay, a lot of people either injury and or death, big lawsuit, etc. Who was liable in that situation? The insurance company, right? Nope.
Well, because they were DRP.
Shop, dude. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Even though it was a DRP, that's even worse, right? So it's fascinating. I just say that to prove to you that the insurance system is completely screwed up. It's complete. It's a complete disaster in my opinion.
Yeah.
They don't tell you repair plans, even though some adjuster who may have 2 months of experience did tell them the repair plan because they wouldn't pay for the extra.
Yeah.
And now they kill the family and it's the body shop's fault. So
yeah. Yeah, and it's always somebody who's had, they've been an adjuster doing this for 16 years and
I've been around, like I know, I used to be a body guy. Okay.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I grew up in it. So that's interesting. The point being, try to fight for the proper repair and make it say it on that estimate somehow.
Yeah.
Or don't do it. That should be the bottom line. Like that body shop should have said, because the interesting thing is like the repair plan is coming from the manufacturer essentially. Like they're looking at P pages, they're looking at manufacturer. Like this roof should be welded on, not glued on, right?
Yeah.
And the insurance company saying we're not going to pay for that. They should deny they should just send the car away.
They should just send the car away. Honestly, the repair
pretty wild though.
Yeah. So we talked about a little bit difference between if the insurance company is supposed to be paying the shop or if the customers are supposed to be paying the shop. Ultimately, at the end of the day, like we talked about a little bit last week, Corey, at the end of the day, the vehicle owner is your customer as a repair shop, as a PDR company. And the vehicle owner is also the insurance company's customer. But the insurance company is not your customer at the repair facility. So you're both just working for the vehicle owner. So at the end of the day, realistically, the way that the whole insurance system is designed to function is you're supposed to be working with the customer and you're supposed to say, you're the authority, you're the repairer. You say, this is how we properly repair this vehicle. And this is how much it's going to cost. And you're liable for the cost. And as a part of the insurance company's policy agreement, they are supposed to be responsible for covering the cost of the repair or reimbursing the vehicle owner for that cost of repair. Over the last however many years, it's gotten, the waters have gotten pretty muddied and stuff. And now it's the insurance companies working directly with the repair facility, whether that's through a DRP agreement, the direct repair partner agreement, or that's just us as repairers saying, hey, we're going to take this off your plate, customer. You don't need to talk to your insurance company, your agent, your adjuster. We're going to handle it for you. And that's where it actually gives the opportunity for the insurance companies to, cut corners and so on and so forth, because now they're actually a part of that conversation. They're a party to the repair conversation, which the system's just not designed for it. So you can see where it kind of breaks down and causes a lot of strife.
Yeah, and the only in theory solution to that, which is not going to happen in my opinion after thinking about it for a week, is you give the repair, you tell the customer how you're going to fix it, and then you fix it, and then you charge the customer $5,000 or $10,000 for their hail claim, or $20,000 for their tested quarter panel, and then they get reimbursed by the insurance company.
Yeah.
Too late for that. I think it's
or you record, like I like what you guys are doing with the estimate due, the claims process stuff, where we talked about this in many podcasts, but we move so fast as technicians and business owners that we don't record or we don't document anything. And how many times have you been in front of an insurance company or on the phone and you said, man, I wish I was recording that phone call, right?
Yeah.
If you were able to have that,
I would have had a lawsuit.
If you had it, well, all you have to do is go to your insurance commissioner and say, look, this is what we're dealing with on a daily basis with this insurance company. And if they're getting claim after claim after claim from local shops, whether we're dent shops or body shops, something has to change, right? But nobody spends the time to sit down and do it. I have one shop here in Lafayette that has a lawyer on retainer in their body shop. And he has sued so many insurance companies that his body shop has went to total crap because the clients are scared to go to him because of all the horror stories.
That's the problem.
But he's what do you call that when they're like certified to work on like every single make and model, iCar certified, all that stuff, and his body shop went to total crap because the insurance companies just badmouth the piss out of him to all the customers.
They want that.
It's sad. Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah, so I don't think we're at a point where we're gonna be able to have all the customers pay us up front for the repairs because they're just too scared they won't get reimbursed. And to be quite honest, they might not.
Yeah, they might not. Yeah, there is a chance that they might not.
Yeah. So that's I find that an interesting thing. I also did if I send my estimate to an insurance company on Mobilitech RX and then they change it, this is the way I understand it in California, and then they change it to CCC1 and tell me, like, I basically say like, hey, I'm going to take the fender liner out and the headlight and I'm going to push on all this dent that's 14 inches long through a body line or whatever, and I give them $1,500 estimate, and they change it to refinish and all that stuff, then that's illegal. They can't do that.
It should be illegal.
So if we turn them in California, supposedly the insurance commissioner of California, if you open a claim for an issue like that, they investigate every single one that's open. They don't get pushed off. They don't get brushed aside every single time, which has been every insurance claim I've ever made, which is probably about 100 at this point now. More. I do more and more each month. But if I send them an insurance claim, here's my repair process, here's my price, and they come back with a completely different language, it's their fault. So I find that fascinating. But then again, we're small businesses. Like I have 4 or 5 people on my team. Like how am I getting, like, what am I going to go testify all the time or whatever?
Right.
It's like, it's interesting. So I don't know what the answer is. We're just talking theories here, but
yeah.
So is that the biggest problem? Is that the biggest problem you see with insurance companies? Is just this? They just only care about the dollar amount, and it should be the lowest dollar amount possible. Repair plan be damned. Repair quality be damned. Customer be damned. Anything.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. So have you guys read Delay, Deny, Defend?
No. I need to though.
It's a little tough to get through.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
not gonna lie, it's a little tough to get through, but it's got so much valuable information. I'm not quite all the way finished with it because I take it in little chunks, but I take notes. I've tried to take notes as it pertains to the PDR industry. So when I do finish it, I'll send you guys my notes, and you'll have kind of the Sparks notes.
Dude, hell yeah, dude.
Perfect.
Notes, I'll read that.
Yeah,
I'll pay you for those notes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, charge.
So, but it's really interesting just kind of learning the process in general, and when insurance companies started to change up like pricing and using it as a profit center, claims as a profit center. And I've talked to Paul a lot about this, Paul Corden a lot about
using claims as a profit center.
As a profit center, because claims and premiums and all of that stuff. Because you know what happens when an insurance company gets premiums in? It basically sits in this bank, but they're able to use those funds. It's called the float. It's why people like Warren Buffett really love investing in insurance companies, right? Because they can use those premiums in the meantime while they're not paying out on claims. They put them into investments. And those investments are making more money on it as well, which is why, historically speaking, insurance companies are some of the most profitable entities, especially the bigger ones, are some of the most profitable companies, like in the United States. So they have that money in investments. And so when you have adjusters and the people who in the field who are incentivized to keep those claim costs down, it means that money can stay in investments and continue to make more money for the insurance company, right?
And one down and also delayed, like you just said.
Yeah.
That's could be a big one. If you could pay it 6 weeks later instead of now, that's like another 8%. Or in 8%, you got a couple more percent. And we're not talking about on $100, talking about on $1 billion. Or 100 million or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah, so I learned this from Paul. I don't know where he learned it from, so take it with a grain of salt, but it would make a whole lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
My understanding is that when an insurance company does, say a claim is initially filed and the insurance company writes their preliminary estimate, they're actually, say it's $2,000, they're actually required, it's a federal requirement that they have to pull 3 times that amount out of their investments to cover potential supplements. So think about what the difference in impact that a $2,000 initial estimate has, which would be $6,000 coming out of investments, versus say a $5,000 estimate, if that's maybe closer to where it should be, that means $15,000 out of investments. That's massive. So the incentives there's definitely like a misalignment of incentives in the whole entire process and everything.
That's crazy that they're able to do that. That seems like all illegal mob stuff, right?
Well, that's where like bad faith and laws on bad faith estimates, and people talk more about it, saying, "Hey, this is ridiculous. This is a completely bad faith estimate. They didn't even use like photos, or we provided them some photos, and they're like, apparently they came up with an accurate estimate, and they refused to send somebody out, and so on and so forth. It's a mess. It's a mess.
And just side note. And we'll get into like just a country as a whole. Y'all know banks do that too, right? Is that a security company?
Oh yeah, well,
like the fractional reserve bank.
Yeah, like that's why if you go to the Silicon Valley Bank and then everybody all of a sudden wants to pull their money out, they can't because they only have to keep 10% of it.
Yeah,
because the rest of it's invested in other things, but it's invested in other things that are tied up for 30 years, like home loans. So as a side note, it's not just insurance companies that are doing it. Like this is a thing that our wonderful government has allowed companies to do, and I'm sure they see no benefit from it. I'm sure they don't get anything on the back end in Washington for letting them do this.
Absolutely not.
It out there.
It's ridiculous.
Just throwing it out there. It would be nice to have lobbyists though for our industry, like the insurance company does. It would be nice. That's just. If you guys have not had these conversations with other Dent guys, that could pretty well catch you up on kind of the relationship between repair shops and insurance and what you're kind of fighting for and why we're doing it. I mean, every time I do it and I'm fighting, I feel like I'm trying to change the system just a little bit, like turn the boat just a tiny bit by getting it done properly for the customer. You know what I mean?
This is all good stuff for you to know to be able to relate to the customer, because customers have no clue. They don't even know.
If you don't know, the customer for sure doesn't know.
They don't even know what a comprehensive policy is.
Yeah,
like they have no clue. So when they leave your shop and they feel like they like a master at insurance claims, they're on your side 100%.
That's a phenomenal point, because I would say every one of my insurance claims that I've had recently is like, come to the shop, because I do mobile and I'm in shop repair. So I'm like, come to the shop, we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to talk about this whole thing. And I'm like, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you an estimate. And then the insurance company is going to come back and they're going to do a couple things. They're going to want it to be lower than mine, okay, because they don't want to spend money, right? They want to pay the least amount of money. And they're like, that makes sense. Of course they want to spend the least amount of money, right? I've been paying them for 15 years and now I make one claim and they don't want,
Yeah.
Right.
touch on that subject, because you're going to be right every time. They're going to come back and be like, guess what? They gave you half the price. And then the next thing is they're going to try to send them to the correct, they're not going to steer,
Preferred.
right?
A
We're not going
preferred
to refer them. Refer them to their preferred body shop, and I'll ask the customer. One of those two things will happen, probably both. And I'll let you guess why would the insurance company want you to go to their preferred shop, right? Because it's going to be less money than I'm going to charge you. That's why, because they have a deal worked out. I'll send you 150 cars a month through the Geico claim, and you just do it for half the price. I don't care how you fix the car; it doesn't matter. Just like fucking spray it. You don't need a blend, nothing. Just I'll send you 150 cars. You do it for half the price or 60% of what it really should be for, and then everybody wins except for the customer.
Yeah.
I tell
You agree with
customers DRPs are controlled by the insurance companies, so the insurance companies are actually the ones coming up with the repair plans for your car, and they don't have no clue how to repair a car.
And
So then the customer's like, "Oh, I don't want my car going over there." If the insurance company is trying to tell them how to repair my car,
if you
right?
took your car, if you took your car to the mechanic to fix it, and they were the one that's supposed to pay for it, do you think they would do the best thing possible, or just enough to make your car leave the shop? Right?
Yeah.
Literally. Because that's what a DRP is. Like, you're going to ask, like, cool, how much is it worth to fix? Oh, the cheapest possible. Aftermarket parts, but whatever. So, and that's the fascinating thing. Like, having these conversations with customers, you can build their trust really quickly. 10-minute conversation builds the trust really quickly, in my opinion.
There's what is it?
Miss anything?
There's what is it that Billy says? I think it's Billy that says it. It's like, don't let the person who owes you money tell you how much
money they owe you. Yeah, it's Billy Wakowiak. If you haven't heard, it's probably like what, 5 podcasts ago, Ryan? 4 or 5, something like that.
something like that. Yeah.
I don't know why I called you Ryan, bro. Because we interviewed so many Ryans for a while there. I had to visualize.
I have 2 Ryans on my team. Actually, I have 3 Ryans on my team. It's like the most popular name in America, I think.
It is. And so, yeah, if you didn't listen to that, go listen to that. That was 4 or 5 episodes ago on the Master Recon, Billy Wakowiak. He does say that. Don't let the person who owes you money tell you how much money they owe you, which is about the most logical thing you can think of.
Right.
I will. So as I learned more about this, though, and maybe Billy didn't understand California, but he said it was totally fine to, like, say, write in collision CCC, like a body shop, and then sign the forms, direction of pay and what I'm going to do, all that stuff. I'm doing paint standard, but I don't know about that anymore.
We have a separate, Paul Corden actually helped me out with that, but having a form for direction of pay and then have a form for a repair plan.
Right, but like,
I love the word repair plan.
Then if the estimate says that and you do a repair plan and they're not the same, and someone looks into it, how do you?
But it says our repair plan states that. It states that we are going to be converting conventional repairs into paintless dent repair, and they sign it, and we talk to the customer all about it and let them know exactly, because they'll just sign whatever, right? But you really have to let these people know, because if there's a phone call that has to be had on that, because they'll get the email back from the insurance company showing their estimate. And then they look at your invoice and they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, you didn't cut my roof off, or you blah, blah, blah."
I know, that's what I'm worried about.
That's just because we didn't have that conversation with the customer about the repair plan on what we're going to do with that, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think I helped him. It was when we were working in Rapid City when we came up with that direction to pay, authorization to repair, direction to pay form that has those different sections describing we may convert conventional repair.
And I have that from you, actually. I realized you put it on your Facebook page, and I took it.
Yeah. So it's an agreement, and that's where most states it's between the repair facility and the vehicle owner on how the car gets fixed. Because if you think about it, the vehicle owners always owe the money when they have a loss, but they are not required to get that car fixed. The insurance company is responsible for reimbursing them for the loss. So when the insurance company agrees to a certain price for that loss that's been incurred, then the vehicle owner gets to decide if they want to get it fixed, how they want to get it fixed, where they want to get it fixed, so on and so forth.
Well, it's actually up to the finance company as well. I don't know why insurance companies stopped writing checks to customers in the insurance company. I mean, in the finance company.
The note holder, yeah.
Right, because it's really up to they don't own that car. It's not their vehicle. So
if you have a loan on it, which 95,
right, the finance company is going to want that thing repaired, and they're going to want to repair it at the best place possible, right? Or the best way. They don't care about the money. They're not paying for it. But if that customer stops paying a note on it and they have to go buy that car or send it to an auction,
they want
it's like Band-Aid together because the insurance company wanted to go to DRP, then the finance company's out of it, right?
Yeah, that's actually, you mentioned that the other day, and we'd almost been talking for an hour and we totally forgot. That's the fourth person in the equation too, because it's not just the three triangle. It's there's the fourth person, which I don't know. I'm gonna just throw it. I complete guess 90%, 95% of people have loans in their cars. 90%. I don't know. It's probably close to that.
Probably
a lot of people, especially ones that are getting fixed. The ones that are getting fixed, it's very, very high because they're expensive vehicles, obviously. And so that's the call that needs to happen. You need to get the customer on the line, the insurance company, and the bank, and be like, "Hey, Wells Fargo, the insurance company doesn't want to get the car fixed properly.
Right?
How do you feel about that?"
I like that. How do you feel about that?
Not that can happen. I don't know. The guy at Wells Fargo in the front desk is not going to know what it is.
Yeah, he's going to be like, "Why are you talking to me?"
That is
maybe if they make up 90% of the people that we're actually supposed to be working for, then why can't we get them to lobby for us? Why can't we make phone calls to them, right?
That'd be interesting.
Like, look, man, this would be interesting in the insurance world.
I haven't put a lot of thought into that before, so
let's go.
You just want to partner on something?
Game changing stuff right here. I mean, dead seriously though, like if you own the vehicle, like because you're the bank and you have the loan on it, that's your vehicle until further notice, until all the payments are made. You have a controlling interest in making sure that vehicle is fixed properly, so that.
And I want it fixed paintless repair. Right?
Here's the problem though. Here's the problem. They're getting their money anyways, whether it's fixed properly or not. They're still making payments on it. If it gets totaled, they're underwater. They still. It doesn't matter.
But you know how many people in the U.S. fault on their loans? Yeah. I mean, obviously not 90%.
Does that have to do with repair?
Yeah. Say if I stopped paying the note on my truck and I went to an insurance company or I made a claim and I let some crappy DRP paint the whole side of my truck and then I stopped paying the note on it.
Right.
They repo my truck and then they send it to an auction. Yeah. And then the auction block doesn't even give because a Carfax is going to be on there. Then people are going to start looking at it. There is a huge potential that they can lose money on it.
A lot of money.
I doubt that happens enough, but it's still something for them to be like, yeah, man, I think you're right. Like we need to make sure these cars are repaired properly.
I'd be curious to talk to I know there's some smaller banks around here. I'd be curious to talk to the owner, or CEO of the small bank and be like, hey, what do you think about this? They probably have $20 million in auto loans or something, or whatever.
The property I'm buying, we're with the actual owners of the bank, so I'm gonna ask him at our closing. How does that work?
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other thing thrown in there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, bottom line is like I don't understand this fully. Ryan doesn't understand it fully, but out of the three of us, Noah understands the most. He's the one staying up late highlighting "Delayed and I Defend" first of all. So. But so as far as using Dent Ops, obviously, we're gonna have a discussion and stuff. But you're probably one of the most knowledgeable people about the situation because you're running a company with 20 people doing it. I'd rather have you writing my estimates than potentially hiring someone myself, paying $400 to $500 a month for CCC, learning how to use CCC, and then writing it myself, and still not even probably being as good at it as you are.
Yeah.
And so all those reasons, the reason being, and it's simple. You don't have to hire the person. You just the last estimate I sent you, I say at 6 o'clock at night, 8 a.m. the next morning. It was boom. I was like, that is crazy, dude.
Yeah. We keep it pretty quick. We say last year when we launched, we actually paused signups for a while.
I remember that because you're like,
yeah,
oh.
because we had a lot of people come on board really quickly, and I never want to compromise like the quality of service and turnaround and everything. We were like, hey, we got to pause. And it was so funny because I had announced the pause. Paul has been like really fantastic for helping us to gain traction, and then we've been rolling since then. So I was like, oh man, we're gonna have to pause signups. I was like, give back a little bit. I'm gonna only post on Paul's Facebook page on his group and say, hey, we have to pause signups, but I'm gonna give one day. Anybody else who wants to sign up, even if you don't have anything to like use us for right now, we're gonna give you the opportunity to sign up. We had like 15 shops sign up just in that.
I think I was in that. Or no, maybe I did one before. I don't remember, but I remember seeing that. And I was like, "Oh shit, I want to make sure I'm involved."
Yeah, we had, and it was not like people were like, "Oh, use scarcity for marketing." No, absolutely not. We were pretty much tapped out, and I was like, "All right, and I was like, wow."
But it did work though.
Yeah,
it did work. It did work for sure. But so we paused for a month, and during that month, we went on a hiring spree and a training spree, and just started training more people into the process, into the system, shifting things around so we could handle it. And then, came out of it. Ever since then, we've made sure to keep a strong margin between like our capacity and like how much work we actually have coming in on average, so that we can I don't want to be in that. It was a lot of pressure. It was fantastic. Great problem to have.
But those are sleepless nights for sure. I mean, one of the biggest problems you can have in a small business is growing too fast. Then you're letting everybody down. I mean, that's the biggest problem. Okay, so do you ever plan on negotiating all my insurance claims for me?
Yes. Yeah. We do.
So excited about it.
That's cool. So so you started out scrubbing estimates. I sent it to you. You scrub it. You increase it, and you give me a CCC1. Now claim due. Is that right? Claim due.
Yep.
Claim due. You scrub it, and then you also follow up with recorded phone calls, emails up to 4 times a day, a couple other things to get the insurance company to, like, the squeaky wheel gets the grease essentially from the insurance
100%.
company. So that's the next level, but you're still not like, the insurance company is not gonna call you and be like, why did you write it this way? And you're gonna have a conversation and then justify it and all that stuff. So you're not doing that yet, but you plan on it.
Not yet. We started testing it out. We had some success, but what we found in a good portion of this, I only want to put something out there that's like great. That's fantastic. I want to make a good name for my business, right? I'm not just, it's not like a money grab, but we tested out doing full service end-to-end claims management. And there were too many things that we couldn't handle as a virtual company, such as the insurance adjuster asking to come inspect the vehicle. Like, we don't have any control of where the vehicle's at. The insurance adjuster saying that they want to also hop on a call with the vehicle owner, the customer, or they want to talk to the customer first. We don't have that kind of communication built in yet for customers and helping to facilitate those processes, or the adjuster asking for additional photos or documentation. There's just a number of things that we couldn't handle, that it made it so that maybe 30% of the time we couldn't effectively manage that claim. And that's just too big of a portion for us to like take on to kind of like guarantee results, I guess. So instead, we scaled that back a little bit, and we started focusing on the submissions aspect of things, and not just submissions, but like making sure insurance is actually doing something. Because what we found was we had a number of partners who were like, oh man, we love Dent Ops, we love the estimates and everything, but I have like 5 of them that I just haven't had a chance to submit to insurance yet. We're like, well, it's not going to do you any good if they don't even have it. We want to get the ball in their court. We want them to have to do something about it, and then for us to just have to be following up and seeing where it's at. But then how many times have you been in a situation, or anybody who's listening, been in a situation where you send your estimate, photos, documentation to the insurance company, and you're like, okay, cool, I did my job, I did my thing. And then a week later, 2 weeks later, you follow up with them. You're like, hey, where's my approval? And they're like, hey, we don't have anything from you. What are you talking about? Like, that's a problem. So we said, okay, how can we solve a few problems while still moving in this direction of full end-to-end claims management in a scalable way? Could we do it for a few shops? Absolutely. But I don't want to do it for a few shops. I want to do it for all the shops. So we start doing where we have, we'll submit the claim. We do what's called a situation report, which is we ask the insurance company, hey, what's happened so far? Do you have a preliminary estimate? Have you issued payment to anybody? Can we get that payment issue a stop pay and reissue the payment to the shop. Here's the authorization form from the repair facility, so you know, in fact, this is all above board. And then where do we submit all of this information to? We have a running database for every insurance company that we work with in order to figure out what's the best process for submitting claims. So if we find any back doors, for example, like when you're trying to deal with USAA or Nextera, for example, if we find any back doors, like, of course, we're going to use that as many times as we can until we find a better process for it. And then we submit everything to the insurance company, follow up a couple hours later and say, hey, did you get everything? And if get that confirmation, they're like, okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. And then we'll follow up to 4 times a day, between like 2 and 4 times a day, every single day, until we get a confirmation from the insurance company or the adjuster, whoever it is, that they're actually doing something with the estimate. They're looking at it now, they're reviewing it, they're comparing it to their estimate. And so ideally, the next thing that happens from that point is you're getting a call from the insurance adjuster because the claim has moved forward. But it eliminates a lot of those, like, hey, we never got anything, or like your photos weren't, they didn't come through, we weren't able to open them. We try to eliminate all of those things that cost time, because at the end of the day, we're trying to fix cars. So
that's $250.
That's $100 for the claim.
Yeah.
It's $100. We made it $100. Yeah. And we record every single phone call. And when we hand it back over to you, our handoff process back to you, we give you a document that has all of the claim details. So 1 page, you got all of the claim. Shouldn't say 1 page. It can be multiple pages long sometimes.
Right. Depends.
The insurance adjuster's point of contact, where if you want to submit a supplement, we can submit supplements, or if you want to submit a supplement yourself, here's where you submit it to. We have recommended next steps based on all the conversations that we've had with insurance. And then we actually, every single phone call that we've had with them, we have a recording link to that phone call, and we have a summary. So even if the phone call was 20 minutes long, you've got like an easy little 1-paragraph summary that you can see all the important things that happened in that conversation. We hand that all back over to you, and then we're like, hey, cool, Corey, you can take this from here. Here's our recommended next steps. And so
that's pretty good, dude.
That
that's a lot of value for $100.
Yeah, we don't just offer that for Dent Ops estimates. We can do any type of estimate. So if somebody's using Mobile Tech RX, they're like, I don't need to get this scrubbed. We can do Mobile Tech RX, we can do Dent Mate, we can do blah, 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 so on and so forth. But I will say it works a lot better with Dent Ops estimates.
Sure. So customer comes in, I'm like, hey, Mr. Customer, like, here's the situation. I can fix it. But this is my what I'm kind of going through with people. And this happens more and more every day because people are sending us big stuff that I used to be like, go to my shop. And now I'm like,
yeah,
for the right price.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah, exactly.
For what I felt like was like $1,000 was kind of like my limit before. And I felt like if I can't do over $1,000, I don't really want to. But now I'm like, hey, drop it off for 4 days, $3,000. I've done several of those now. Non-hail stuff. Okay. Yeah. So anyways, they come in, I'm looking at it, I'm like, hey, Mr. Customer, for sure in the thousands. Like I can give you the estimate. It's going to take some time. I actually use an outside company to help me write all that stuff, but for sure thousands. So here's what we do. I'm going to get I'm going to get the information. I'm going to take the pictures, 4 corners, VIN, odometer, pictures of the dent. I'm going to have you sign that. I'm going to have you sign direction to pay, which you've given people for free. I'm saying, yeah, have you signed that, which I've been forgetting to do. I need to make that part of the system. Have you signed authorization to pay, etc., and then send that to you. You can scrub it. You can scrub it in CCC1, then convert it back to Mobile Tech RX, and then submit it to insurance. Back to PDR, which is Mobile Tech RX, or you just do sublet line.
It's still in CCC. Yeah, it's still in
sublet line. Okay. So you put something like sublet, PDR instead of refinishing, repairing, or something.
Yep, exactly.
Okay. Cool. So I do that with the customer. I send that stuff into you, and then with the claim due. So that's $250, $150 to scrub, $100 to claim due. Correct.
$250 to scrub, and then claim $100 for claim due. Yeah.
Okay, so $350 for you. So you scrub it, find what I missed, and honestly, I missed it on purpose because I'm just going to take pictures. I'm going to put a quick price of dent in there. 13 inches, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm going to pay you to do it anyways, right? Send it to you. You scrub it, turn it into CC1, turn it back to PDR, show a discount, and submit it to the insurance company for me until they look at it. Request something from me if you need more from me, a picture or something like that. And then say,
Follow
okay,
up
we're
with them,
done.
confirm.
Follow up with them, and then so that's the process. I can do that. Everybody can do that.
You should either get a phone call from the adjuster, or you should get an email with a supplement that's like dead on, pretty damn close to what.
Or Noah or somebody from Dent Ops contacting us saying we need more information. But if I get, I'm just going through this for myself, and you all get to listen. You can just copy what I'm doing. I'm just being a little selfish here. Sorry about that. It's my podcast.
Right.
It's our podcast. We do it every once.
Yeah, that's right.
Four corners of the vehicle, odometer, VIN, pictures of the damage.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. And then send it to you. Oh, and have them sign authorization to pay.
Yeah.
And
it's not required, but it's very helpful. And for you to kind of cover your ass, very valuable.
Right. Okay. So if I do all that and I take that, and inside of Mobile Tech RX, I just like hit email and I send it to Dent Ops, somewhere at Dent Ops, I haven't written down.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, I want you to scrub and do claim due or whatever. Boom.
Yeah, you don't even have to. So we're built kind of like a software as a service. You sign up like you're signing up for any kind of an app. You set your profile to prefer like, hey, we like things scrubbed. When we send something to Dent Ops, we want to scrub it, right? You set your profile like that. So when you on your side of things, after you do all that stuff in Mobile Tech RX, you email it to us. Translate@dentops.com is like an automated email, and we just do all the magic on the back end from there. We do all of the stuff from there. We give you the estimate back when we're finished with it. You're like, hey, this looks fantastic. I don't have time to submit this. Can you do it for us? You click a link that's in that email. You click, I want claim to submit this for me. You click submit, and we're already submitting that thing for you. So
you say translate, you scrub it, $250 billed. And I said, okay, I'm good. Or then I send it back and say, submit for me, and then you're like, okay, cool, and then another $100, and the card's already in there, so you're just billing me, and I'm just like, okay, I get it. That's fantastic, dude. I need to do this way more often. Honestly,
and we're always helping people too. Like, people always are like, hey man, I know you're super busy. I love talking to shops. I mean, I travel doing it for a long time. Like, you know how it is. There's a community, right? So
that's killer, dude. That's killer.
We're always working with people and answering questions. And like I told you on the call, Corey, like we're not built to say this is how you use Dent Ops. We're a tool. If you figure out different ways to use our service, fantastic. And there are lots of things that we've implemented that have been suggestions from a lot of the shops that we work with, which we're working with over 230 shops now. But there's been suggestions, or there've been people that's like, hey, do you think that this might work? And I'm like, I don't know. But if you want to send an estimate through, we'll pay for it. We'll cover the cost and we'll try it out, and just let me know if it works. And if it works well, like, hey, we'll build this as a feature functionality and we'll apply it across everybody. So it's literally like people are helping to make our shop.
If you want to do a test run, you don't have to pay several $100s. You can reach out to you and be like, hey, can we try this? And you'll be like, sure, I'll try it for you.
Yeah,
and absolutely. If it doesn't work, you're not out $300. If it does work, maybe you change the way that Dent Ops works. Okay.
Exactly.
So if we're doing in any version of this, like, how do you don't need a claim number, but for our sake, if we want the likelihood that the repair goes through, we should have a claim number.
Yeah.
Like, before the customer even comes in.
Yes.
Or before I submit it to Dent Ops, you should give me the claim number, and I'll do everything.
Yes, we actually have, just in general, just as kind of standard operating, whether you use Dent Ops or not, like my recommendation for, like, if you're going to go through any kind of a process, spend time on somebody with a claim, is that should be an insurance claim, right? Is that they have a claim number, they have signed authorization to repair, direction to pay forms, not just because it's a great cover your ass type of a thing, but it's also a psychological commitment. Right? Yes. They signed something, and then they should be on your schedule. If the car's not dropped off, they should be on your schedule. Those are 3 high commitment actions that a customer has taken. That is a strong indication that you're going to get that
That's worth paying claim due or paying Dent Ops to do the thing and all that stuff. Like, are some going to fall apart? Yes, but potentially. But if you have claim number off to pay on the schedule, it's way less likely.
Yeah, way less likely. At that point, like we have a lot of shops that once we launch claim due, they're like, oh man, we're gonna do the whole thing, like the whole shebang. It's awesome. So, but we get up front having that authorization form, the claim number, photos, the insurance company, obviously. If we have that up front, then we will not need any more information from you by the time we to get through that entire process, except for your approval to say, hey, we like the estimate. And the only reason for that is because I don't ever want to write an estimate. I don't want Dent Ops to write an estimate and we royally screw up on something. We have 2 QA steps built into our entire process. So it's very, very rare. But I want you to be the final eyes on that estimate and say, yeah, I like that. There's no problems there, because you're the one who has to deal with the fallout. And for you to say, hey, this is great. All right, send it through to claim due. And then that's the only thing that we need, assuming we have those other 4 items.
Okay. Yeah. Killer. That's a fantastic explanation. I think you'll get more signups. And I can't wait till you handle everything for me.
Yeah. We're working hard. We're constantly. Awesome. I mean, we have 3 or 4 major projects in development right now. As we've grown out, we have other operators in place, so we can work on more solutions at the same time to roll them out. We're trying to build an ecosystem of stuff.
That's killer, dude. I think you're doing a great job. I mean, I've only been a little bit, and I know Ryan's done a lot more. And thumbs up from my end so far off my half a dozen.
Yeah. I appreciate it for sure.
Yeah. So cool, man. You got anything else you want to add before wrap up? I think about an hour or so. It's usually the attention span. So
yeah, for sure. I guess the last thing is, if anybody's coming to MTE, or if you're not planning currently, I would strongly consider, because it's just really awesome. It's a fantastic experience for networking, but also for visiting some of the vendors and the people in the community. It's a really awesome community. If you're coming down to MTE, definitely come and visit us in our booth. We'll have some really cool stuff that we're going to be revealing that I think will also be game changers and add to what we're already doing.
Oh, damn, he's freaking calling out game changers. It's October, bro.
Yeah. Oh, man, we're
calling
always
game changers already.
We're always, man, I'm not kidding you. When we launch something, we've probably been working on it for 6+ months by the time we launch it. So Claim Due, we started working on it in February. And we just launched it. We want to make sure it's good. So we have a lot of stuff in process. Be there at MTE to announce a lot of stuff. I'm also going to be speaking at MTE during Education Day with Paul on actually workflow, not really just estimates, but workflow in general, winning with workflow. And then also, if anybody who's coming to MTE, if you want to come one day prior, we're going to be at the Keeping It Real. Randy Hobson has a bass fishing tournament. We're going to be there. It's going to be a super, super fun time, super low key, and it'll be cool to hang out, and it's going to be awesome to see other people. So I'd love to see you guys.
Yeah. I will second. I'm going to MTE. I will second going just for conversations like this. I know you could hear some of it on the podcast, but there's a lot of these conversations that happen with multiple different perspectives of Dent guys. I know it can feel expensive. Probably costs a couple $1,000. Fly over there, stay there. Drink 52 beers. They're expensive. I get it. Not that you have.
No.
But this kind of information, this kind of stuff you're getting, bringing that back to home and implementing it will make you way more than you're ever going to spend at MTE. It took me a few years to convince myself of that too. I've only been probably going for 4 years, even though it's been going on for 20 or something like that. So I was victim to that too. I don't know. It's plus you add in how many days you're away, and that costs money. Whatever, it's worth it. Plain and simple, it's worth it. Things happen. Ryan and I became podcast hosts essentially together after the last MTE. And meeting with Restore FX, who sponsored the podcast and things like that. So things can happen. You never know what you're going to come out of it. Yeah.
I say MTE for me, I've said it every year. Every time I've gone, February and March are my highest producing months, just because I come back home and I'm implementing all the things that I've learned. And it's just, all my guys say it. They're like, dude, every time you come back, it's like you're changing stuff for the better in the shop. It's awesome. So I wouldn't miss it for the world. Even though I missed it last year, so
yeah, for sure. Unless you're in the hospital.
Unless you're in the hospital, that changes things.
All right, man. Well, that's what's up. Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome. And so I appreciate you letting me come on the show.
Absolutely.
Until the next one.
Exactly. Till the next one. I'll come on anytime.
See ya.
We'll see ya.